Hello, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something most people never learn. And because they never learn it, they spend their entire lives feeling busy, but never truly moving forward. Focus is not something you are born with. It is not a gift reserved for a few lucky people, and it is not a personality trait. Focus is a skill, and like every skill, it gets stronger only when you train it deliberately, consistently, and with intention. Think about this for a moment. Every single day, your attention is being pulled in 100 different directions. Notifications, opinions, noise, pressure, comparison. And if you don't consciously decide where your focus goes, the world will decide for you. That's not a lack of intelligence, that's a lack of training. The human brain is powerful, but it obeys direction. Whatever you repeatedly focus on, you wire into your nervous system. Whatever you practice paying attention to becomes your default state. When you focus on distraction, you become scattered. When you focus on growth, you become capable. And when you focus on learning, you become dangerous in the best possible way. Because a focused mind absorbs information faster, connects ideas more clearly, and applies knowledge more effectively. That's not motivation, that's neuroscience. Your brain is designed to strengthen the pathways you use most. So every time you sit down and truly concentrate, even when it's uncomfortable, you are literally upgrading your mind. Most people wait for motivation to focus. That's backwards. Focus creates motivation, not the other way around. When you commit your attention to a task, your brain starts to engage. Engagement creates progress. Progress creates confidence, and confidence fuels momentum. But it all starts with the decision to direct your attention instead of letting it leak away. Here's where education changes everything. Real education isn't about memorizing information. It's about training your ability to stay with a problem, to think deeply, to ask better questions, and to persist even when the answer doesn't come immediately. Focus is the foundation of all learning. Without it, information passes through you. With it, information becomes understanding, and understanding becomes power. You don't need to study longer, you need to study deeper. 10 minutes of true focus is more valuable than an hour of half attention. When you remove distractions, when you give one subject your full presence, something shifts. You stop feeling overwhelmed. You stop needing constant breaks. You start seeing patterns. You start connecting ideas. You begin to feel in control again. And here's the truth most people avoid. Focus is uncomfortable at first. Your mind will resist it. It will wander. It will look for escape. That doesn't mean you're failing. That means you're training. Every time you bring your attention back, you win. Every time you choose concentration over convenience, you build discipline. And discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you want to become. People who achieve extraordinary results are not more gifted than you. They are more focused. They decided that their future was worth protecting from distraction. They learned to say no to what doesn't matter so they could say yes to what changes everything. So start small. Choose one task. Give it your full attention. Do it again tomorrow and the next day, because the ability to focus is the ability to shape your life. And once you master that, everything else starts to fall into place. Focus isn't your limitation, it's your turning point. Let's talk about something that quietly destroys potential without making any noise. Comparison. It sneaks in when you're trying to grow, when you're trying to learn, when you're trying to improve yourself. You look around, you see where others are, what they have, how fast they seem to be moving, and without realizing it, your focus shifts away from your own progress. The moment that happens, your energy leaks. And when your energy leaks, your growth slows down. Comparison feels productive, but it's not. It doesn't educate you, it distracts you. It makes you measure your worth against someone else's chapter while you're still writing your own. And that's dangerous because education is not a race. It's a process. Everyone starts with different resources, different support systems, different challenges. When you compare outcomes without understanding inputs, you end up judging yourself unfairly, and self-judgment is one of the fastest ways to lose momentum. The truth is, the brain cannot focus deeply while it's busy competing. When you compare, your attention moves outward instead of inward. Instead of asking, what can I learn right now? You start asking, why am I not there yet? That question doesn't build skill, it builds frustration. And frustration clouds thinking, weakens discipline, and makes learning feel heavier than it needs to be. Think about how real progress happens. It happens when you concentrate on building one skill, one habit, one improvement at a time. But comparison pulls you away from that work. It tempts you to jump ahead mentally without doing the foundational training. And education doesn't reward impatience. It rewards repetition, curiosity, and consistency. When you stop comparing, something powerful happens. Your mind becomes quieter. You stop wasting energy on stories that don't serve you. You begin to notice your own improvements, small wins, clearer understanding, better control over your time. And those small wins matter. They create evidence that you are moving forward. Evidence builds belief. Belief strengthens commitment. Here's a key shift you need to make. Instead of measuring yourself against other people, measure yourself against who you were yesterday. Did you understand something today that you didn't understand before? Did you practice longer? Did you show up with more discipline? That is real progress. That is education in action. The most successful people don't compete with others. They compete with their former selves. They are obsessed with refinement, not comparison. They focus on mastering the basics before chasing recognition. And because of that, their growth compounds quietly, powerfully, consistently. Comparison also kills patience, and patience is essential for learning. Skills take time to develop. Knowledge takes time to settle. Confidence takes time to earn. When you rush yourself because of someone else's timeline, you skip steps, and skip steps always show up later as weaknesses. But when you stay in your lane and build properly, your foundation becomes solid, and a solid foundation supports extraordinary results. So the next time you catch yourself looking sideways, pause. Bring your attention back to your work. Ask a better question. Ask, what can I improve right now? Because that question puts you back in control. That question turns focus into progress. Your journey doesn't need comparison. It needs commitment. And when you fully commit to building yourself, your growth will speak louder than any comparison ever could. Let's get honest about what really creates results, because most people are looking for a breakthrough while ignoring the process that makes a breakthrough inevitable. They want a big moment, a dramatic change, something that happens all at once. But real progress doesn't work that way. Progress is built quietly, daily, through discipline. And discipline isn't about being hard on yourself. It's about being committed to your future, even when your emotions don't cooperate. Every day, you are casting a vote for the person you are becoming. Not with huge actions, but with small ones. What you study, what you practice, how you manage your time, what you do when you don't feel like doing anything at all. These daily choices may seem insignificant in the moment, but they are shaping your skills, your confidence, and your identity. And one day when the results show up, people call it success. But what they're really seeing is consistency made visible. Education rewards those who show up repeatedly. You don't master a subject by understanding it once. You master it by revisiting it, practicing it, making mistakes, and refining your understanding over time. That's where discipline comes in. Discipline keeps you engaged when motivation fades. It keeps you learning when the excitement is gone. And that's important because motivation is temporary, but discipline builds permanent capability. Most people underestimate what small daily actions can do. They think if they can't do something big, it's not worth doing at all. But that mindset keeps them stuck. 10 minutes of focused learning every day can change your life over a year. Reading a few pages, practicing a skill, reviewing your notes, these are not dramatic actions, but they are powerful ones. They create momentum, and momentum changes how you see yourself. Here's something crucial: discipline creates trust with yourself. Every time you do what you said you would do, even when it's uncomfortable, you strengthen your self-respect. You begin to believe in your own word. That belief is priceless because confidence doesn't come from praise, it comes from evidence. Evidence that you can rely on yourself. Evidence that you follow through. And that's why the results eventually shock people. Not because they happen overnight, but because no one was paying attention to the quiet work. No one sees you studying when it's boring. No one sees you practicing when it's repetitive. No one sees you choosing growth over comfort day after day. But those unseen efforts are stacking. They are compounding. And when they finally express themselves as skill, clarity, and achievement, it looks sudden from the outside. Discipline also simplifies your life. When you commit to a routine, you remove the daily debate about whether or not to act. You don't negotiate with your goals, you execute. That mental clarity frees up energy. Instead of constantly deciding, you start progressing. And progress feels good. It fuels further discipline. This is how momentum becomes a lifestyle. Understand this: discipline is not punishment. It's self-respect in action. It's choosing what you want most over what you want now. It's knowing that the effort you invest today is buying you freedom tomorrow. And education at its highest level is about freedom, the freedom to think clearly, to solve problems, and to create options for yourself. So don't wait for the perfect mood. Don't wait for inspiration. Show up, do the work, repeat. Because when daily discipline becomes non-negotiable, extraordinary results become unavoidable. Stay consistent long enough, and your progress will do the talking. Let me bring you to a deeper level now, because everything we've talked about, focus, discipline, growth, rests on one foundation: your ability to master yourself. Not control the world, not control other people. Control yourself, because the person you are becoming is shaped far more by how you manage your inner world than by anything happening on the outside. Most people spend their lives trying to impress others. They chase approval, validation, recognition. And while they're busy managing impressions, they lose control of their attention, their emotions, and their time. That's a dangerous trade. The moment your self-worth depends on someone else's opinion, your focus fractures. And fractured focus makes deep learning almost impossible. Self-mastery begins with awareness. You notice your reactions instead of being ruled by them. You feel frustration, but you don't let it dictate your behavior. You feel doubt, but you don't let it stop your effort. Education isn't just about acquiring information, it's about developing emotional control. The ability to stay calm when things are unclear. The ability to persist when progress feels slow. The ability to think instead of react. When you master your emotions, your learning accelerates. You stop panicking over mistakes and start using them as feedback. You stop fearing failure and start seeing it as data. That shift alone separates those who grow steadily from those who quit early. A disciplined mind doesn't collapse under pressure, it adapts. Time mastery is part of self-mastery too. If you don't decide how your time is used, it will be consumed by distractions, obligations, and other people's priorities. When you intentionally schedule learning, practice, and reflection, you send a powerful signal to yourself: my growth matters. And that signal shapes behavior. You show up differently when you respect your own development. Here's the paradox most people don't understand. The moment you stop trying to impress the world, you start building something real. You shift from performance to progress. You stop doing things for applause and start doing them for competence. And competence is magnetic. It doesn't need promotion. It reveals itself naturally through results. Self-mastery also means managing your internal dialogue. The way you speak to yourself matters. If your inner voice is constantly critical, rushed, or discouraging, learning becomes heavy. But when your inner voice is firm, clear, and supportive, effort becomes sustainable. You don't need to be perfect, you need to be persistent. And persistence is fueled by self-respect. As you build self-mastery, something powerful happens to your identity. You no longer see yourself as someone trying to succeed. You see yourself as someone who does the work. That identity shift changes everything. Decisions become easier. Discipline becomes natural. Focus becomes stronger. You're no longer chasing motivation, you're acting from alignment. And here's the quiet truth: the people who truly master themselves don't need to prove anything. They don't waste energy on arguments, validation, or comparison. Their confidence comes from control, the control of their habits, their emotions, and their actions. That kind of confidence is calm, grounded, and unshakable. When you invest in mastering yourself, you build a foundation no one can take from you. Skills can grow on it. Knowledge can expand on it. Success can rest on it. And once that foundation is strong, the world eventually notices, not because you demanded attention, but because your presence carries weight. Master yourself first, and the results will speak for you. Now let's bring everything together, because this is where focus, discipline, self-mastery, and patience all find their expression. At some point, you stop talking about what you're going to do, and you let your results do the speaking. Not because you're hiding, but because real confidence doesn't need announcements. It needs evidence. Most people explain themselves too much. They defend their goals, justify their pace, argue with doubt, both their own and other people's. But every explanation costs energy. Every argument steals focus, and energy that could be used to learn, build, and grow gets wasted on noise. When you decide to let your results speak, you reclaim that energy and put it where it actually creates change. Education teaches this lesson early if you pay attention. You don't pass an exam by talking about how much you studied. You pass by demonstrating understanding. You don't master a skill by telling people you're serious about it. You master it by showing competence. Results are proof, and proof is far more powerful than persuasion. There will always be people who doubt you. That's not a problem, it's a distraction if you let it be. When you focus on your work instead of their opinions, something shifts inside you. You stop reacting and start executing. You stop trying to be seen and start becoming capable. And capability compounds quietly. Letting your results speak requires patience. Results don't appear on demand. They emerge after repetition, effort, and time. And during that time, nothing seems to be happening on the surface. This is where most people give up. They mistake silence for failure. But silence is often a sign of deep construction. Foundations are built underground before anything rises above the surface. When you keep showing up during that silent phase, you develop resilience. You learn to trust the process instead of chasing immediate validation. You stop needing applause to stay committed. That internal stability is rare and it's powerful. It allows you to stay consistent even when no one is watching. And then something interesting happens. One day, people notice, they see your clarity, your skill, your confidence. They call it sudden success, but you know better. You know it was earned through thousands of small decisions made when no one cared. That's why the results carry weight. They're backed by work. Letting your results speak also protects your growth. When you talk less, you're interrupted less. When you argue less, you learn more. When you focus on execution, your mind becomes sharper. Your actions become cleaner. And your progress accelerates. Silence in this way is not weakness, it's strategy. Understand this: results don't just impress others, they reinforce your identity. When you see tangible proof of your effort, your belief deepens. You no longer hope you can succeed, you know you can because you already have evidence. That confidence isn't loud, it's grounded, and it doesn't need approval. This is how you shock people, not with dramatic statements, but with undeniable outcomes. Not by announcing your potential, but by realizing it. You focus, you build, you master yourself, you stay disciplined. And when the time is right, you let the work speak for itself. Stay committed, stay quiet, and let your results make the noise.